Monday, 4 p.m., Dan Warren and the UFO Garage Podcast. Wednesday, 4 p.m., Sean Raish is Citizen Witness. And on Friday, 3 p.m., Kent Bye versus Mick West. This week on the Singularity Lab, Tuesday, 4 p.m., UFOs and the Paranormal with John Russell. Thursday, 4 p.m., Cyber Warfare, USA versus China. And on Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Paradigm Shifts with Christina Gomez. Come aboard, let's get weird, this week on the Unidentified Celebrity Review. Hello, good morning, good evening, good day, good afternoon, and aloha. Welcome back to another episode of the Singularity Lab, your one-stop shop for everything reliable news and commentary and breaking stories in science, technology, and futurism, and of course, UAP discoveries. I am your co-host. My name is Luis Jimenez. Joining me in a couple of minutes will be my esteemed colleagues, our host, Michael Mataluni, and his lovely wife, Kristen Mataluni. Today we will be speaking with paranormal investigator John Russell about UFOs and the paranormal. So this is going to be a lot of fun. But before we do that, I want to welcome everybody in the chat. Look at this. We got our first super chat. You guys found the button. $10 super chat. Testing 1, 2, 3. Indeed, it works. Thank you, Case for Infinity. This is Michael's first show that he's monetized. So you guys now have the ability to help him support his channel. The more support he gets, the better it is for him and everyone else as well. It's how we provide the show 5 days a week for you guys. So make sure you check out the links below. If super chats are not your jam, find our Patreons. Those are great ways to help us support the show. The Patreon is a monthly subscription. You could donate from $1 all the way up to $500,000 in my Patreon. So if you got the guts, go check out my Patreon. Definitely check out Michael's Patreon. We've got another $50 donation from Jazz Shaw. Not another one, his first one. And this says, thank you to everyone who got the Singularity Lab to 1,000 followers. And now Michael should do a shot for every $50 donation, including this one. Don't test me, Mike. Don't test them. You heard the man. I hope you got a bottle of alcohol and some shot glasses back there. Michael's nodding yes, but I hope you don't, because you've got another 2 hours to get through. We just started the show, so just paid for Jazz to take a shot. Did Jazz just pay Jazz to take a shot? If there's, I know for every $50 donation, Jazz usually takes a shot on my show. So I know if he says he's doing it, he'll do it. That's for sure. Okay, so let's get to some of these other comments from you guys. So we've got Alien Girl in the house. She says, yay, tweet, like, subscribe, share. Definitely do that. We're almost at 3,000 followers on my channel, so if you haven't subscribed to the Unidentified Celebrity Review, do that. Like I said, between the Singularity Lab and the Unidentified Celebrity Review, we bring you guys shows 5 days a week, 2 hours every show. We're also available on all of the podcast platforms, including Spotify, so definitely check that out. Let's see here. Shelty Shangri-La. Oh, yeah. This is a topic I've been thinking about lately. This is a topic that I think a lot of people have been thinking about lately, especially with all this news and reports coming out of the Pentagon and Navy and senators and congressmen starting to talk about it. A lot of people I know are kind of disappointed that there was nothing really significant in relations to UFOs, or not UFOs, but in particular aliens, what these craft are being controlled by. But I just think the conversation's not there yet. I think we're going to get there. And this is part of the reason why we're talking to John Russell is like, how can we get to this conversation and possibly bring it to, say, a senator or a congressman in a way that they might be able to understand it. So it's going to be a fun chat today. XUAP. Yes, super chat is in effect. Indeed it is, you guys. Go ahead and get into the super chat. We highly recommend it. And yeah, let's see here. We got Ethereal Aura. You're slacking, Alien Girl. I don't know why Alien Girl's slacking. She's never slacking. She's always kicking ass. Audrey says share, share, share. Muskoka J, yay! You've cracked a 1K. Congrats, Mike. Everybody's super stoked for Michael. He's going to have a killer interview tomorrow, by the way, with Avi Loeb. That's, I think, pre-recorded, right, Michael? Is it? No, it's live. It's going to be live. Awesome. So we'll be able to ask questions to Avi Loeb tomorrow at noon. He's going to be doing that Pacific Standard Time. So definitely subscribe because you're not going to want to miss that discussion. So we've hit the 4 o'clock time frame. Let's get this show started, you guys. Here we go.
Woo! What up?
What's going down, bro?
I'm excited, man. I can't believe everybody who is in this chat and who's been supporting this channel got us up to 1K. You all rule. Some of you may wonder where Kristen is, and she just left the room to go get me a shot because we cannot let Jazz down. Hopefully we'll we won't get me drunk, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. I mean,
I'm excited.
Good thing you got a co-host that doesn't really consume alcohol.
You can steer the wheel. You can keep us straight. You can ensure we don't fall off the rails.
Yeah. If I know this crowd, I think that might happen. I mean, look at them. They're already riled up.
Oh, they're already excited. They're already excited. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today at the Singularity Lab. We've got an amazing show for you. We've got, for the first hour today, we've got John Russell with us, and we're going to be discussing the UFO phenomenon and what he believes and thinks about its relationship to the paranormal. We're going to be covering that, and then we're going to be breaking that down in the second hour. Hopefully, John will stick around and join us for that second hour because we're going to be inviting Carl Vibe and Kevin Childress in for a panel discussion after that. So I'm super excited. But for those of you who don't know John, he's a psychic and paranormal investigator and best-selling author. You may have heard him on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, Darkness Radio, and with David Schrader of TV's The Holzer Files, Beyond Reality, and with J.V. Johnson and many more shows. Without further ado, welcome John Russell.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much. It's great to be here. And I have my glass of bourbon.
Oh, nice. Oh, now I feel left out.
Fantastic. Well, I'm not.
I came to play, baby.
I brought you gin.
Someone's got to collect the keys with the jar at the front door, and I guess that will be me.
So apparently Kristen thinks I'm going to shoot gin. I'm not sure what.
There you go.
Don't we have any bourbon or whiskey?
We do have bourbon. I figured you would.
I'd actually prefer the whiskey. We'll get to that in a minute. We won't disappoint you, Jazz. But before we do that, let's get into this. John, so tell us about your writing, what you do, and kind of your background and what got you into this.
Sure. Well, I've been a professional psychic for 50 years now, which seems just incredible to say. I've read for clients in over 40 countries. I've had over 1,000 physical paranormal manifestations. And by physical manifestations, I mean these are things that it's not something I meditated or saw in a vision or hallucinated or dreamed or whatever. These are experiences that actually occurred on the physical realm. We have video, we have audio, we have photographs, and many times they have been witnessed by other people. And that's one of my hot buttons is for people to understand that the paranormal is real. There's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of phonies. There's a lot of con artists, but it is real. And we can learn from it what we can and then apply that to our lives and help others to apply it to their lives, to be happier, to live more successfully, and to walk trying to find some more light. My paranormal investigations I've done since I was 12, 15 years old, somewhere around in there. The burning desire that I had, I always tell people I'm one of the most skeptical psychics you'll ever meet for all the experiences I've had, because my burning desire has been to find the truth. And there's a lot of untruth out there in the UFO realm, the paranormal realm, the psychic realm, the spiritual realm, the religious realm. And as a young man, I wanted to find out what worked, what didn't work. Let's keep what works and see if we can amplify on it and learn more about it and increase it. And if it doesn't work, let's get rid of it. Let's don't be hidebound by dogma or ritual or tradition.
Fair enough. Sheltia says, can you give us some examples of manifestations that you've had, John?
Oh, my goodness. Things appear, things disappear. Let's see, spirit photography, EVP. There's so many in my books. I talk about a lot of these, and it's just some of them are kind of longish stories to go into. So when somebody says, give me an example, there's usually a thing that leads up to the manifestation that makes it kind of a longish story. But when we have a little time, we can go into some of the specifics of that.
That's great.
And then as far as the writing goes, my first book came out last year in September, Writing with Ghost Angels and the Spirits of the Dead. I've been a biker since I was 15, and this centers mostly on my motorcycle rides. And then my second book came out in February of this year, which is A Knock in the Attic. And it's basically my life story, how it was to grow up psychic, when my gift awakened, when I began to have these paranormal manifestations, and brings it on up to the present, basically.
That's fantastic. So give me kind of, a lot of folks who are following this UFO disclosure movement,
right?
This idea of UFOs being associated with paranormal activity, it tends to turn some folks off, and they feel like it maybe hurts the disclosure movement. What's your take on that?
I don't think that it hurts the disclosure movement. I know everybody says, Jazz, I have, and we'll talk about that more later. I don't think it hurts the disclosure phenomenon. I know the vibe out there is more science, less woo-woo. And look, science can't catch up with any of this. Science can't catch up with the paranormal. I have a friend that was at Stanford when Stanford Research Institute was developed, and Targ and Puthoff and Geller and all these people were out there, and he met all these people, knew all these people, knew everything that was going on. And science can't catch up with that. We've done some really great things, but it's just like you have to include the woo-woo because it's part of the warp and woof of life. And it's just like at Skinwalker Ranch. And I've communicated with Brandon Fugel a little bit on Twitter, and I've told him, I said, look, science can't catch this. Science can't define this. It doesn't mean that we abandon science, but we have to realize that science can't catch and define and understand what's going on. That still takes a reliable, top-notch, true shaman or psychic or medium or whatever. I always tell people when I go on a paranormal investigation, I take the most advanced, the most technologically sophisticated, the most sensitive equipment on the planet that there is, and that's me. We have to be able to, when we have these manifestations, even if you can record them, so what? You recorded it, but you didn't learn what it meant. You didn't learn why it was there. You didn't learn what it's trying to communicate or what it's trying to do. And that falls into the realm of the woo-woo. So that's where you got to go. And if you've been watching Skinwalker Ranch, they bought the rabbi out. The rabbi did the woo-woo, and they got the results, and they saw it on camera. So I don't think it'll hurt the discussion. I think people have to understand that it does play into it.
It's interesting because we talked about this. Maybe it was on Carl Vibe show, or we had what's the
Pete.
what's
Well, yeah,
Pete?
Pete.
Yes,
I was thinking of
he
Pete.
was saying he's like, you know
the
what?
Words right out of my mouth. That's
Yeah,
such a good quote, though.
Go ahead. What was it?
No. You say it.
I can't remember. He said send in the wizard.
Oh, okay.
He said send in the wizards.
Send in the wizards. Yeah, I mean, like science is a great tool. It should be a tool in the tool belt, but sometimes you just need some wizards at the heart. You know, and I was like, yes, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, if you've got a spirit in your house, you don't need an EMF meter or a scientist or this, that, and the other. You need a psychic. You need somebody to come tell you what to do. And I've done that for a lot of people. So I don't think that the discussion of, one time, Lou Elizondo made the statement that he hoped this phenomenon didn't lead to religion or spiritual territory,
right?
But that he feared it might. And my insistence on this is that my take on this is that it always has to lead to spiritual territory, no matter what you're doing, because if we're the aliens and we're from the future, who created us there? If we're created by the aliens, who created the aliens? If this is game theory simulation we're in, who created it? Who made it? There has to be a creator story for everything. Ergo, there has to be a spiritual component to everything. And that's what we have to look at, and that's what we have to bring into this. Now, if we have a little time to delve into this, what really brought the paranormal and the UFO experience together for me and married it together was, by the time I was 20 years old, I was reading professionally when I was 18. And by the time I was 20 years old, I had these incredible, bizarre amounts of paranormal experiences, physical paranormal experiences. Other people had seen them, other people had experienced them. And we had caught them on film. Back then, there were no digital cameras. We used film cameras, and we caught them on film and things. But I did not believe in UFOs. I had read the literature, I had read the books, I had seen the interviews, and I was like, nope, not convinced, don't believe it. And so I was at this building one day, inside this building, and I came out, and this is back in West Texas when I'm living in West Texas. And I came out of this building, and the first thing that hits me in the face is this blast of wind. And I look up, and it's overcast. And I said, okay, must be in for one of our infamous thunderstorms, maybe even a tornado. We lived at the tip end of Tornado Alley. And I could see my car in the parking lot across the street. It was a narrow two-lane street. And I could see my car in the parking lot. So I thought, well, I'll make a run for the car before the rain starts or the wind kicks in, the storm comes, whatever. And I look over in the parking lot, and coming down from the clouds above, and the clouds are pretty low, coming down from the clouds above is this solid column of a cloud down by my car, touching the parking lot. So I'm looking at this, I'm saying, okay, I've seen all kinds of weird, bizarre things in West Texas, growing up with weird weather here and everything, but this is something I've never seen before. And as I'm watching it, from within the cloud and coming outward and then receding back in are these glowing orbs of various colors, orange, red, blue, yellow, and all this. And I'm like, okay, I'm 20 years old. I've had a stroke. I've gone nuts. I'm hallucinating. Something's happened. This is just, nope, this can't be. And I'm literally not believing what I'm seeing. And to compound it, I look down in the parking lot where the cloud is touching the asphalt. And around the base of the cloud, there's some litter, some debris there, paper cups, papers, whatever in the parking lot. And it should be whirling around or blowing or whatever. And it's perfectly still while this cloud is rolling and roiling and boiling and all this stuff. All the debris is perfectly still. So I'm like, okay, I'm nuts. That's it. About this time, this urge comes to me to walk toward the cloud. So I take a few steps forward, and the cloud advances toward me, still staying on the ground in the parking lot. I stop, and it stops. I back up, and it backs up. I walk toward it, it walks toward me. I back up, and it backs up. So about this time, a guy opens the door, hits me in the back, because I'm standing up by the door by this time. And he goes, man, I'm sorry. He says, what are you doing standing so close to the door anyways? And then he looks up and he says, oh boy, it looks like we're in for one, huh? And then he looks over in the parking lot and he goes, what in the world is that? And I go, I'm not nuts. He sees it. It's real. So I say, wait, watch this. And I walk toward it and it comes toward me and I stop and it stops. I back up and it backs up.
Huh.
And I tell him,
and this is still just a pillar. It looks like a pillar of a cloud. Okay.
And I asked the guy, I said, isn't that the weirdest thing you've ever seen? And he looks at me like I'm the weirdest thing he's ever seen. He goes, bye. And his car's parked the other way and he hightails it out of there, leaving me alone with the cloud again.
Huh.
So I look at this thing.
So he was afraid? Did you get the sense that he was afraid and was just left or what?
Yeah. He was out of there. He was like totally freaked out.
Huh.
So about this time, the cloud goes back up into the clouds above and I make a run for my car and I'm like, what in the world was that? So I back out and I know this town like the back of my hand, literally. So I'm pulling out and it begins to rain. And this is not an everything's bigger in Texas story, but I mean, in Texas in 20 minutes, it can rain hard enough to flood the streets, flood your yard, flood underpasses and everything else. But this rain begins to be like anything, unlike anything I have ever seen in my entire life. The rain is coming down so hard that with my wipers on high and my headlights on, I can't see more than 2 feet past my hood. And there are cars angle parked on the street and I can't see them out the passenger window. And I'm starting to freak out because I'm like, okay, I'm going to scrape somebody's car. I'm going to hit somebody. Somebody's going to hit me. So I get up to where Twig Street is. Beauregard's the front street, Twig's the back street. They're parallel. And I get to there and I see this red light glowing through the gloom up here, the stoplight. You can just barely make it out. And I stop just in time to keep from hitting the car in front of me. I'm right on its bumper and I can only see him when I'm just like about to hit him. And then I see these lights come up in my rearview mirror and come to a halt and they nearly hit me. And I'm like, oh God, this is getting crazier and crazier. So my plan was to creep around the corner. And if I could make out the entrance to the Sears parking lot, there was a Sears store that sat on Beauregard and they had a big parking lot in the back. I said, if I can just get there, if I can just creep into there, I'll stop, run out. I'll be soaked. I don't care, but I'll get down the basement where they had one of the best sporting goods departments on the planet. I'll look at the sporting goods till the storm blows over and then I'll go home. So this is my plan. So we make it around the corner and we're poking because we can't go more than like a mile or two an hour. Mm-hmm. We can't see. And I'm holding onto the wheel and I'm leaning over in I had a bench seat in the car and I'm leaning over trying to see out the passenger window so I don't scrape the cars that I know are angle parked there and I can't even see them. Now it's raining that hard and count it, 1001. A second later, it's gone. I don't mean it slows down. I don't mean it slows down to a drizzle or it's just 1 second it's raining that hard. The next second it's gone. There's complete visibility. It's still overcast, but there's complete visibility. I can see all the way down the street in front of me, all the way behind me, all the way around me. I'm like, okay, well, this is a little bit passing strange. And as I watch down the street, people start honking their horns because cars in the oncoming lane are swerving over and almost hitting the cars in our lane. And I'm like, what in God's name is going on? And people are rolling down their windows and they're pointing up at the sky and people are jumping out of their cars onto the street and pointing up. And I'm like, oh my God, this is why the rain stopped like that. There's an F5 tornado over here and it's fixing to kill us all. And that's what
oh, shit.
Yeah, so that's what's up. And I'm like, the first thing that goes through my mind, I'm too young to die. And I look up to where they're pointing and right over the back of the Sears building, hovering there, a metal craft about 30 to 50 feet in diameter, about 30 feet over the top of the building. No smoke, no fire, no flames, no sound. Just a perfect saucer shape, metal saucer. And I literally did a cartoon eye rub. I literally could not believe my eyes. And I looked back up and sure enough, there it is. And that's what everybody was pointing at. That's what everybody had seen. Yeah. And I started to get out of my car. And as I reached for the door handle, the UFO moved just barely, just perceptibly moved. And as it did, the clouds came rushing from behind it, covered it over. And the second it was covered over, the rain was back in full force immediately again. So we creep into the parking lot. This guy's in front of me. I said, I don't care if I hit him. My insurance will cover it. I'm going to talk to this guy because I'm still having a hard time believing what I saw. And so he jumps out, runs in the store. I'm right behind him. The rain's coming down so hard it hurts, and I'm shielding my eyes. We get in the store, and they had a little airlock there with a mat where you wipe your feet. And he was just standing there, just staring down at the mat. And I walked around in front of him. He wore glasses. I didn't at the time. And he wore glasses. His glasses were beaded with water. He hadn't bothered to wipe them off. He was just dripping water. I was dripping water. And it took a little bit before he realized I was standing in front of him. And I said, hey, man, did you see what I just saw? And he said, yeah, but I damn sure ain't going to tell nobody. And he sidestepped me and walked through the store. You got to remember, this was back around, the 70s, somewhere around in there. And people made fun of you, like they still do. Some people still do. But it was really prevalent then that you were made fun of, or you could lose your job, or all kinds of things. So people didn't talk about the experiences. But that was my first UFO experience. And I had to switch religions. I had to change denominations because it's like, holy cow. It's real. There it is. Saw it. Can't deny it. Saw it in the presence of witnesses. But for me, the paranormal component was what was with that cloud, and how was that connected with that sighting, and why did that go on, and why was that the prelude to the sighting? So did the UFO cause what I would term a paranormal experience as a prelude to the sighting? Are the powers that be out there in the paranormal realm kind of in league with these things, or do they kind of set up things with these? And so that's when I begin to kind of wonder about the possible paranormal connection with UFOs.
So what's your current interpretation of what this phenomena is? And do you think there are, let's talk about the UAP report real quick, because I think it's important, because in the UAP report, they create 5 buckets. Our own tech, adversarial tech, natural weather phenomena, and what was the other one besides other?
I think our own technology, wasn't it?
Yeah, I said that one. There's another one. Anyway, but the point is that there's one bucket that's other, and then there's a tiny amount in that other bucket that we just cannot figure out.
Right.
Of that, are you thinking that this is what sort of phenomenon do you think this is when it comes to UFOs? And then what is your belief now about the relationship of psychic ability and paranormal activity?
And by the way, I wasn't that disappointed in the report. If you look at it, and I sent you some talking points on it, there's some gems to pick out of there.
Yeah.
I think that my take has always been from the get-go that it's a physical manifestation. It's a physical phenomenon, which is indicated in the report. They're saying, yes, these things are physical. We're picking them up on sensors. Does that negate the possibility of an interdimensional component to it? No, but dolphins, yes, just say it. It's dolphins. There's a possibility of an interdimensional component, yes, but we don't have that proof yet. We don't know that yet. The problem is we're all floundering. We don't know. I do believe it's an absolutely physical component. I'm going to go out there and say that I believe that it's ET. I believe it's extraterrestrial. I don't believe that it's a psychic phenomenon. I don't think it's anything we're causing or we're making up or we're visualizing and bringing into being. I think that it is a physical phenomenon, and I think it is either piloted and or guided by extraterrestrial intelligence. I don't believe it has anything to do with earthly intelligence at all.
What about psychic and telepathic connection? Do you believe human beings can be in contact with extraterrestrials through psychic or telepathic communication?
Oh boy, here we go. Possibly. And I would put a big caveat on that for the simple reason that I have investigated everything on this planet that I could since I was 12 years old. I have read, watched, experienced everything that I possibly could in the realm of religion, psychology, parapsychology, the paranormal, the psychic realm, everything. And the problem is there's a lot of imagination out there. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people that that take what they're receiving in a meditative state to be factual when there's no physical evidence for that. Okay? So, do I believe that it's a possibility? Yes. Do I believe that it's as widespread as people claim? No. Do I believe that we're in contact with the loving space brothers? No. Do we know what the purpose and the intent and everything of these craft are? I don't think that we do. And I believe as psychics, I don't think we do. I think as UFO researchers, I don't believe we found that out yet. And as I saw the other day, I watched an interview with Rob Shelsky, who's a MUFON field investigator. And he made the point that, look, where's the story of I was lost in the woods at night and this UFO came over, shone a beam of light down and led me out of the woods to safety. He said, we don't have it. He said, we've got abductions. We've got possible ties to cattle mutilations, but we don't have that story. And that's true. And I think the thing that bothers me in all of this is the people that claim marvelous experiences with UFOs or with UFO inhabitants that claim to be contactees. When you question them, when you pressure them, there's nothing physical there to hang your hat on. It was in a dream. It was meditated. It was a vision. And why am I so hard on that? Well, look, there's a lot at stake here. And the reason I'm so hard on this topic is if you ask me, say, okay, John, you talk about this deal, you talk about that deal, you make some pretty wild, far-fetched claims. Well, I've got evidence. We've got it on film. I shot a TV pilot for the History Channel, and I said there's a ghost walking through me. And as I said that on a FLIR camera, you can see the footprints on the floor walking across and walking through me. We have audio, we have video, we have other people experiencing. I've got pictures. Yeah, me too, Jazz. I've got pictures. I've got audio recordings. I have EVP. I have all these years of clients telling me you're seeing things psychically that there's no possible way that you could know without having a psychic gift. You're describing things in my house accurately. You're describing me accurately. You're describing my deceased loved ones on the other side accurately. You're making predictions that come true that actually physically happen. So that's why I'm a little hard on this. It's like, I've got stuff I can bring. You can come, you can look at it, you can see it, you can hear it. And most of the time, people that hang around with me fall victim to experiencing it themselves, whether they want to or not. So I always tell people, I say, look, I'm a magnet for this stuff. I have been my entire life. And if you're scared of it, don't want to experience it, you might not want to pal around with me. So I've got that physical evidence that nearly anybody would look at, and if they're honest, have to admit, okay, yeah, this is the real deal. This guy's really experiencing stuff. He's got photos, he's got audio, he's got video, he's got all these testimonials from his clients, and so on and so forth. So that's one thing that's lacking in this UFO thing. Plus, we look at what I tell people is like, let's look at the motivation here for what these craft could be, what these intelligences could be, what these people could be. First, I want to bring up something and address this, get this out of the way before we go any further. What's his name? Oh God, it just all of a sudden eluded me. The physicist guy, the scientist guy. That's the
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh yes, he went on a rampage over the last several days, just crushing the UFO community.
He said, "How egocentric of us to think that space aliens who have mastered interstellar travel across the galaxy would give a blank about humans on Earth." Well, for one thing, compassion, scientific curiosity, natural curiosity. That's why, for one thing, I try not to listen to him. And
Well,
then,
yeah, I mean, for me, it's like it's shocking, right? Because as a scientist, if I'm somebody who's scientifically minded, I'm
aren't you
inquisitive,
curious?
I'm
Yeah,
curious. So, and
exactly.
if I'm traveling interstellar space and I happen to find other life out there, that would
Hey,
be
check this
fascinating
out.
to
Yeah,
study.
yeah. Wouldn't this be great?
And
And then the other thing that I saw on Twitter just today, I got this off of Twitter. The guy's name was Jay Feezer that posted this. And he said, I've never understood the constant belittlement of the human species and our accomplishments. Just because more advanced species exist somewhere doesn't mean we have to constantly call ourselves trash. When we observe animals using simple tools, we're always amazed by it. So I agree with that 100%. I don't look at us as inferior or trash or this or that, why would the aliens care about us? Well, here's a good reason why. If I'm driving down the road and Michael, I see you and your lovely bride there, and you're broke down on the side of the road, you got a flat tire. I don't know you. It's not going to help my health or my well-being or my finances to stop and help you. But out of the compassion of my heart, because you're a fellow human being, I'm going to stop and say, hey guys, can I help? Do you have a jack? Yeah, but we don't know how to use it. Well, I do. I'll jack your car up. I'll fix the tire for you. Okay. Or do you have the jack? No. Well, do you have AAA? No. Well, I do. I'll call and I'll get them out here and I'll wait with you till they come and we'll fix this thing. And we do that because we have a natural compassion to help. When Texas froze this past winter, my home state, because the gas and the electric all went haywire there, and Texas froze, and I had friends back in my hometown that had no water, no electric, no gas, no power, no way to heat, no way to cook, no way to shower for days on end. Some of this went on for weeks. And out of the kindness of their heart, normal human compassion, their neighbors would say, hey, we have a well, or we have this, or we have that. This is still working. Come take a shower. Or, hey, we've laid in a supply of wood for the winter. We've got a fireplace. It's warm in here. Bring your sleeping bags or a blanket or whatever. Make a pallet on the floor. Come get warm. And other people were like, okay, we don't have gas. We don't have electric. We can't cook. Guess what? We got a barbecue. We got charcoal, and they would have neighbors over. They would barbecue and feed them. So look, at our basis, we're compassionate people. Now, by extrapolation, you would think, okay, among the alien species, wouldn't that be the case there as well? Wouldn't there be some species that were like, doggone, let's throw these Earth people a bone, man. Let's help them out a little bit. But we don't seem to get that. We get abduction reports. We get cattle mutilation reports. Right. We get near misses with the pilots. We get attacks reported on naval vehicles and so on and so forth, naval vessels. And so it's like, the evidence of what we're seeing doesn't jive with the peaceful, loving space brothers, dialogue. That it isn't there. And that's not to put anybody down for their beliefs. Believe what you want to. But, if you're going to talk about something important and life-changing and make changes in people's lives and lead people a certain way, you got to have something to hang your hat on.
Right. No, that's an important point. And I think that, this subject can often become semi-religious. We looked at there was on Reddit today. There was a post about this very thing, how easily it is to get sucked into hard beliefs and to encapsulate your entire identity in these beliefs. And that's where it can get very, very dangerous. And I think it's so important for people to keep an incredibly open mind and really look at these things from multiple perspectives, because you're going to get more value out of that. And you're not going to be, kind of sucked into this. Right. All right. So I did want to reset the room real quick. I think it's so important for those of you joining us that you know who we're talking to today. We've got John Russell with us. And John is a psychic and paranormal investigator. He's been doing this for a very, very, very long time. He's a best-selling author. You may have heard him on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, Darkness Radio with David Schrader of TV's The Holzner Files, Beyond Reality with J.V. Johnson, and many, many, many more. So thank you again for being with us today, John. We really appreciate your time. And for those of you keeping an eye out for us, the Corbell drop, I believe somebody just said, that came down the pike.
I looked at it. I read at it. I read what's going on.
What do we got?
We got it's
Interesting.
Like, it's interesting. The information about it's definitely so. It was footage captured over the USS Omaha by a Viper team. Happened July 15th, 2019, off the coast of San Diego. This is I don't want to cut into John's time. I think we should
we'll
cover
discuss
an hour
it.
or
Okay.
two.
Yep.
Because I definitely want to read through this whole thing. He definitely provides a lot of information. The footage is footage.
Meh. It's footage.
It's footage.
That sounds like meh. That sounds like meh to me.
I don't want to be. At first glance, I heard it with a little bit of sound. It comes in and out of focus. That's just my first impressions of it. It looks different than a lot of other things he's put out. It's in color. It's not in any sort of other spectrum of light, so that's interesting as well. I'm curious to know what this was shot on exactly. And again, is there more footage? But we can get into it hour two. But yes, we're on it, you guys. So stick here. We're going to break down the footage. We're going to break down the information in hour two. I'm going to go ahead and tweet out just to let everybody know that we'll be doing that. And yeah, don't forget also, you guys, that we've got tomorrow on the Unidentified Celebrity Review. We have Sean Raish, that is Citizen Witness, his YouTube channel. He just had a killer interview today with Danny Silva. And then also we're going to have Carl Vibe and UFO Jane to help us break down episode 9, which the producer said today is supposed to be off the chain. Best episode, I think, in the whole season.
Really?
And yeah, that's what
what the word on the street is?
Yep. That's the executive producer of the show. And he liked my tweet when he said we were going to cover it. And also, we're going to be doing on Friday, Mick West is going to be coming back, and we're going to be having a civil debate with Kent Bai, philosopher and journalist Kent Bai versus Mick West. So that should be a lot of fun. So don't forget to do that. And then on Thursday,
I got to address what Jazz just said.
Oh, what'd he say?
Yeah, go for it.
I just got to address what Jazz just said. He said, I also don't think we can assume the intents and motivations of an entirely alien intelligence. We tend to anthropomorphize potential aliens, and we do. And I get tickled when people say, when they were talking about the potential for life on other planets, or they're talking about the potential appearance or biology of ETs, we view everything through the eyeglasses of human perspective. Well, this planet couldn't possibly support life. How do you know? It couldn't support our life, but maybe the aliens breathe nitrogen and thrive in a 400-degree temperature environment. Hello? We're looking at something that we don't know what is. And we assume that, look, every popular alien portrayal in science fiction, and then sometimes even in serious thought, is that there's going to be a female alien and she's going to have at least 2 boobs, maybe 3. We view everything from this human perspective, from this human viewpoint, and we tend to relate to everything else that way. Well, look, there's a lot of different intelligence out there right now. My little dog's not human. He doesn't speak English, but he understands English so good that if I don't want it to excite him about something or do something, tell him we're going to the vet, I have to spell it because he understands my words. He's smart. He can figure things out. He's intelligent. He's loving. That's intelligence. We can go to plant intelligence. They've discovered now that trees send out a chemical through their roots against other trees. And that chemical tells the other tree, hey, this is my space. This is my ground. Don't be coming over here. That's an intelligence. It's not human intelligence, but it's a sign of intelligence. Okay. So we assume that when we meet extraterrestrials, that they're going to be 6 foot, white, and, whatever. We have no clue. And we have no clue on what planets, who or what is living, because they may have an adaptation and a biology and a physiology that's entirely different from ours. And we have to get that mindset out of our head.
I completely agree. And I think Arrival did that so well. I mean, we don't have. It's so important. I think it's so good.
I gotta go back and watch it because you always bring it up, and it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah, just specifically for that reason, though. Like it's this idea that there's these evolutionary, completely different. Not only physically are they completely different, but mentally they're very different, and the way they communicate is incredibly
Exactly.
different. I think that's.
We don't know, and I have to. One hot button I have that I want to touch on real quick, if I may, is that in the report's asking we need more funds, we need more money. And I think that, the government has a black budget, several black budgets. So I think they've got all the money they need, number one. And I think that, the concept of the government saying, we just don't know after all these years, I don't buy it. And I'll tell you why. Now, they may not know every single thing. They may not know every little detail. And the government does compartmentalize. We know that. So not everybody with a top secret clearance knows what's going on over here in this top secret thing. And we understand that, okay? But I saw a documentary on TV a long time ago. And in this documentary, one of the former heads of the CIA said, listen, back during the SR-71 Blackbird era, and for people that may not know the Blackbird, the SR-71 Blackbird was our top secret spy plane, and it flew in subspace and at a speed that nothing could catch it, no missiles, no rockets, no nothing. And the former head of the CIA said in this documentary that when the SR-71 flew over, that if there were two golf balls a foot apart on a putting green, that it would take a picture, and in that picture you could read clearly which one was the Titleist and which one was the McGregor. And he said, that's decades old technology. Imagine what we can do now.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean they've solved everything or know everything or whatever, this and the other, but with that amount of technological capability, they've got to know more than what they're letting on. And I mean, look at what the NSA has done with all the intelligence gathering. They have vacuumed up every single landline call, every single cell call, every text message, every email. They have vacuumed every single bit of it up and stored it and analyzed it and gone through it. Way back, oh God, when I was a young man a jillion years ago, James Bamford wrote The Puzzle Palace about the NSA. And back then, they measured their supercomputers by the acre. By the acre. And now, and I've just read his latest update on the NSA, and my God, it's just mind blowing. So look, we have to know more than what we're telling our government. Right. Has to know more with all the access to this technology, to the information, to the advances they've had. Plus, it's common knowledge we have a remote viewing program, or did. They say it's ended now, but I remember going out one day. I had eaten lunch and gone outside to get in the car and go somewhere. And this was when they said that they had retired the SR-71. There were going to be no more SR-71 flights. That era was over with. Well, the SR-71 has the most distinctive silhouette on the entire planet. And as I'm going to go get into my car, I hear this weird, bizarre double sonic boom. And I look up, and there's the unmistakable silhouette of a blackbird flying. Now, the government swears, nope, it's gone, it's ended, whatever.
Right.
There it is. So, we can't believe what our government tells us. We can't believe that this is over, that's over, that they don't have the info or whatever. I think they know, and I think they're, the scuttlebutt among a lot of ufologists is that there's some type of agreement with alien species in our government. And that's been bandied about a lot. And maybe it is. And if that's true, I think the government's trying to figure out how to keep the people from coming with the pitchforks and torches if they reveal that. Because that's been done at our expense.
Right. I think this is the biggest fear, is that there's some sort of technology that could be used to help humanity that the government has been shielding us from in not disclosing what the relationship is with the phenomenon. Right. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question, but what I do know is, for those of you just joining us, Jazz paid me $50 to hit this shot. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that right now. Cheers to that. If you guys out there, want to see a second one go down, here we go. $50. Thank you, Jazz.
Real quick, while you guys do that, I did have a question for John.
Yes.
So it sounds like you're not 100. It sounds like the alien theory for you is exactly that, a theory, right? It's your best guess. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yeah, it's my best guess.
How do you?
Yep. Go ahead.
Well, my question is, how do you separate that so well from what's actually happening here on Earth? Like, in other words, how do you step back from that, and how can you is there any advice to someone who also has the same theory, but it's not a theory, it's a belief? Yeah. How do you get them to walk off the plank that it's 100% alien? Is there any way to do that? Can you give anybody any advice? And did you yourself at one point, were you stuck in that trap as well of I know 100% of what this is? Has that ever happened to you?
No, and it's never been 100% with me because, like I said, I've had multiple UFO experiences and sightings now, right, including one that interacted with me.
Right.
And I still don't know who or what it is. I firmly believe that it's not ours. I tell you that. And the report basically says that.
Yeah.
Why do you think these things would interact with you? I mean, this is what I don't understand. If these things are not interested in us in a potentially positive light, why would they bother messing with us? I mean, is it like just like a little kid just like poking a stick at like an ant? I mean, what are we talking about here?
That I got because here in Florida where we live now, ever since I was a kid, I've been an outdoorsman. I've been outdoors my entire life, and I've always loved the night sky. I've always liked to look at the stars. So I'd sit out night after night after night. And Florida, of course, is famous for its UFO activity and its UFO sightings. And I'm sitting out one night, and Venus is glowing off over here, close and bright. And I have a courtyard, and you can see up into the sky. And we're near an airport here, and little small planes come flying by. And over where Venus is, this glowing orange orb that is about the size of Venus in the sky starts scooting by, but it's like closer, it's like larger. And I'm watching this thing, and there's no blinking lights, and there's no motor noise or anything else. And I look at it more closely, and it's a glowing orange orb. And I said, son of a gun, that's a UFO. And so it comes around in front of me, and it's so close that it's like, think of a little small Cessna, and it's a little ways out, but you can still make the markings out on the plane. It's that close. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at this thing, and I literally stood up, and I said, hey, and I yelled it aloud, and I sent it out psychically as well. And I said, hey, if you can hear me, stop and back up. And son of a gun, this damn thing stops and reverses course slightly.
That's fucking wild.
And I'm like, oh, yes. And I'm like, okay. And then about this time, and you can judge distance, you can estimate distance if you sit outside and look at things at all. And so where the big airliners fly, you see them coming by overhead, right? In less than a second's time, this thing shoots from where it's at down here low where I'm watching it up to that height and stops and sits there for a little bit. And I'm like, holy God, no sonic boom, no nothing, no sound. And then from that height, in less than a second's time, it shoots up into the stars. Mm. And it just kind of wanders around just a tiny little bit in the stars there. And then it shoots off into the universe.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said. And to this day, it gives me chills when I recount it.
Well, speaking of chills, John, this person has a question. Harvinder Sunila asks, apparently some of the Pentagon think that UFO subject involves demons. Is there anything about the UFO phenomenon that genuinely scares you?
No, there isn't. And I don't believe it's demons. That comes from, obviously, from a Christian viewpoint, having been raised Christian, subscribing to the Bible and anything. Now, the Bible is full of paranormal activity, supernatural activity, but it's prescribed by the Bible, so it's okay. And anything that falls outside of that, then of course is satanic or demonic. And I've got credentials there because I'm also an ordained minister. So, I don't believe there's anything demonic in this because, people say, well, it's either demonic or they're the watchers or they're this or that. Well, look, if it's demonic, then there's also got to be angels, because in the Bible, you've got demons, you've got angels. Mm-hmm. So if we can, I'm trying to get it over there for you, Jazz. There you go. I don't know if you can.
This way, turn it the other way. No, go all the way around. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, it's a skull with a dagger through it. So, anyways, I don't think they're demons, because if there were demons, then there would have to be angels if you subscribe to that biblical viewpoint. So there would be battles from UFOs in the skies, the angels shooting down the demons or whatever. So I don't subscribe to that. As I told somebody the other day, people say, well, they're the watchers. They're keeping watch over us. For what purpose? If it's to help us or to guide humanity or whatever, they're failing miserably. Okay.
Well, but that's just people need the idea of free will, right? So right. You could potentially have a compassionate parent or overseer who doesn't get in between you and your decision-making process and allows you to experience the consequences of your decision making. So I don't agree with that. I think there's an opportunity for you to potentially have
no loving parent's going to do that. No loving overseer is going to do that. With my kid, you go to the mall and people snatch kids in malls. And with my kid, with my daughter growing up, I'm an old beat up guy now, but back in the day, I was a force of nature, man, and ain't nobody messed with me. And we went in the mall and I had my daughter's hand and I knew where she was at all times. And I was protecting her from everything and everybody. And I was not letting any harm come to her. And then gradually, when you get to a certain age, people have responsibility for their own decisions and you kind of have to back off a little bit, but you're still concerned. You still care. And, my point in all of this, we have free will, absolutely. But there doesn't seem to be any concrete guidance or compassion or interference or interjection or whatever coming from any of these beings, any of these entities. And I have had what I deem guardian angel experiences. Let's just call them that because people are familiar with the technology or the terminology, rather. And people there have the argument that, well, guardian angels will influence you or inspire you or whatever, but they don't directly physically interfere. Wrong, because I have had these spirits literally, physically intervene in my life and save me from accidents, save me from harm, save me from death, and do it in a physical manner. One time in a manner that I could feel. One of them touched me. I was falling off. It's a long story. I know we're getting near the top of the hour here, but long story short, I was up on the step ladder doing a chore for a neighbor. And uncharacteristically of me, I started to fall off the stepladder. And as I fell, this large, strong hand came up physically and grabbed me at my hip and lower back and pushed me back up onto the stepladder and held me there till I caught my balance. And as soon as the hand moved away, I looked around and said, oh, thank you. And there was not a soul there. So guardian angels do physically intervene, absolutely. And I've got a lot of other stories that I could tell you about that. I wrote a couple of them in one of my books, as a matter of fact.
Wow. So what would you say? So we are getting out of the top of the hour. We're going to be bringing in a couple more guests here in a few seconds. John, are you able to stay and hang out on the panel?
Absolutely.
That's amazing. All right. So if anybody else wants to see me take another shot, that's a $50 donation. Feel free to hit us in the super chat.
Nice.
Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We've got an amazing panel coming up for you in just a few seconds, but I do know that the TMZ release is going, I think, live in about 5 minutes here as well. So make sure if you're going to watch that, keep this show running, come back and tell us what's going on, because we're going to have to cover that tomorrow, and it is running concurrent with our second hour. So, but hang with us. We're going to have a great second hour here in a second. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panelists. Joining us now is Carl Vibe. He's a full-time content creator. He recently launched his new show on Carl Vibe on YouTube to investigate the mystical aspects of reality and consciousness. Welcome, Carl Vibe.
Thank you. Interesting show so far. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I'm really looking forward to hearing your perspective as well. We've also got Kevin Childress, who is a retired special agent and investigator at the IG at the IG at the Department of Energy. He's also a
that's not a Windsor knot, man.
It looks good. It looks good.
Wow.
I haven't one more since then.
Kevin, amazing to have you. Carl, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today. Oh my good Lord, NPUAP, $100 donation.
I don't want to. He also said, "I don't want to see that Shasta chaser either. The LaCroix chaser. He's not interested in the LaCroix chaser.
No chaser, so $100. So no chaser.
No chaser.
Ooh, you put this on yourself, buddy.
Hey, my bourbon's on the rock.
Hey, I did have one last question for you.
For John.
For John before we get into this next hour.
Yes.
And that is, how do we bring I know this is a conversation that we're not ready to have yet on a national level, but let's say this post more like in another 90 days, we're getting another report. So we're getting another report in 90 days, possible some congressional hearings in the next year or two at most, I think. Post something like that.
Mm-hmm.
How do we start to bring this conversation to the table of a senator or a congressman? What is the simplest way to convince them, hey, this is something worth looking at. There's a huge community of people that have been traumatized by this aspect of it. So what would you say would be, if you only had, say, 3 minutes with a senator, what would you tell them?
I think that first we have to be specific in what we talk to somebody about, and it has to make sense. I mean, like, you can go back through, like I said, I sent to Michael 15 cogent talking points from the report that are logical, that are factual, and that make sense. And I think you have to approach it that way. And then I think the best way to metaphorically hold our leaders' feet to the fire and get something done is the old-fashioned call and write your congressman. If there are enough of us putting the pressure on people, if they get enough emails and enough phone calls, but don't do it and then stop, continue doing it. Send it once a month, every month, everybody, as many people as can.
Yeah.
And if they get it one time, wow, we got, 1 million emails today about this UAP thing. Well, it'll pass, don't worry. Yeah. And then if the next month it comes again, and then the next month it comes again, that's going to get somebody's attention. So we have to continue.
Right. And people keep encouraging us to do a big phone home every month, and that might be the answer to that. But we are planning another big phone home. And I think one of the things that you mentioned, Lou, which I think is so important, is you want to share like your thoughts for the big phone home too. Actually, let me take my shot, and then we can do you share your cheers.
I think, by the way, somebody said it's 2 shots, so just FYI.
Well, I got a big glass of bourbon on the rocks, so that's more than equivalent to 2.
I do not look like Jazz after I take a shot. Jazz is just like.
Yeah. Oh, Jazz. Yeah. Jazz takes it like he's reading a book.
I've been drinking 90 proof bourbon since I was a young man. So.
Oh boy. Okay. So, big phone home 2. I think we're gonna do it within the next 40 something days, because if we've got another report coming in 90 days. I want to put as much pressure on our lawmakers as possible between now and then, just like we did with the big phone home. You know, we scheduled the phone home, so we gave them enough time to respond to the calls, the emails, however people got in touch with them, tweets. So I think we're going to do that. I think that's I'm thinking. Well, the date that's coming up for this report that we do is going to be September 23rd, Thursday, September 23rd.
Michael, what is the matter with you?
Look at the chat.
$100 donation already.
Oh, here we go, baby. Let's go.
I told you.
You did.
I told you. I mean, like, you're really gonna trust the internet to be like. I mean, what are you thinking? Like, what were you thinking when you did that?
I don't know what I was thinking.
But I think we've got
price.
around $300 in today's super chat.
And see, the great thing is, I have the tolerance of like a rock, man. I mean, alcohol just doesn't affect me. So I can do this all night.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, maybe we'll split it. We'll have John take one, and so that way Michael can finish the show.
We'll cut my slack. I'll take
you got to keep out of the Ubers, so.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Aaron, dude, we really appreciate the $100 super chat. Honestly, this is Michael's first day live with a super chat, and you guys have come strong.
Are not disappointing. Absolutely not disappointing tonight.
Thank you guys. It's been awesome to watch.
I'm gonna be sloppy. Y'all have never seen me sloppy, so this is gonna be rough.
Cool. You know, and I think one thing, Lou, that we have to talk about is the fact that, you know, you guys had this vision and you had this fire and you said, you know what, we're going to crank this mother up and we're going to go and we're going to push this and we're going to talk about this. We're going to get these guests. We're going to, you know, do something meaningful and we're going to get this thing going. And you did. You've done it. It's going. And you got to keep pushing it because it is making an impact. It's, I watched the first Phone Home, and it was like, oh my God, nobody's ever done anything like this. Nobody has ever pushed for anything like this, and nobody has ever brought these things out like this. And, you know, we got to make sure that we get it out of the community and into the mainstream, into, you know, people that are on the fence or that don't believe or don't know quite how to approach this. We got to get that to them. Then we got to get it to the politicians, like you're saying. And so you guys have got a fire going here, and we got to fan the flames on it till it gets out of control. That's what you got to do now.
Can I ask you a question, John?
You bet.
When you say that you're, you know, you practice, you do psychic work and you work with people and you've had these encounters, what's kind of your process that if you were going to say, okay, I would like to make contact or something like that, or I want to see what's here. What is your process? Is it a meditative process, or do you follow a particular system that you learned somewhere else, or is it very intuitive to the moment?
It's what I've learned since I was a kid, Carl. I had my first paranormal experience when I was 5 years old. I discovered I had a psychic gift at 6. And that's a good story to tell you. I was out in the backyard playing, and this car pulled in the driveway. And I didn't know the people, so I went inside and I said, Mom, Dad, there's somebody in the driveway. I don't know who they are. I don't recognize the car. So they came out and they said, oh, those are friends of ours. So they were all standing out in the backyard talking. And I was messing around there, and I came up and I was listening to them talk, standing there listening to them talk. And I looked up at the man and the woman and I said, I just interrupted the conversation like a little twit. And I said, you guys have just been on vacation. And I said, you took that car that's in the driveway. You drove that car. And I said, you don't have kids with you today, but you have 2 kids, and you took those kids with you in the car, and you stayed at this hotel that looked like this, and it had trees like this in the front, and it was so many stories. And then this is how the pool area in the back looked. And the husband kind of had this lopsided smirk or grin or whatever, kind of like, oh, what's going on? Kind of looking at my parents. And I'll never forget his wife. She was looking at me with her jaw agape and bug-eyed. And when I finished talking, she went, how the hell could he possibly have known that? And my mother was like, well, you know, kids in their imagination. She goes, imagination? How the hell could he possibly have known that? That's what we came over to tell you. We just went on vacation. We drove that car. We took our 2 kids with us. The hotel we stayed at looked exactly like John described. How is this possible? How the hell could he possibly know that? And my parents were like, go play, John. And I was like, yeah, nice to meet you folks. And I took off. And they never came again to visit, by the way. And so that was when I had that awakening. And when I realized that I had that, then it was a process of learning and training. And I did that by reading and studying everything I could get my hands on. Like I told them earlier, I said my objective was the truth. Is this real? Does it work? If it does work, let's keep it, let's expand it, let's see what we can do with it. And then if it doesn't work, let's get rid of it, you know?
So I consider myself kind of an explorer of this same topic and the mysteries of reality and consciousness and the connection there and things like that. So if you were going to recommend just like one book that you feel like was the most profound for you, that kind of propelled you into this and really opened the door for you, what book would you recommend for everybody to go get and check that out?
There's a really neat book written by David St. Clair, ST.CLAIR, David St. Clair. Back then, he was like one of the foremost paranormal researchers. And he's long dead now, but he was a very popular writer, and he traveled all over the world talking to psychics and mediums and healers and everything else. And he said in all of his travels, he was able to synthesize what actually really worked down into a very few simple things that were separate from dogma and ritual and tradition or whatever. And he put these in a book called Lessons in Instant ESP. Now, as a published author, I'll tell you that title, the editor had to choose it. Most people don't realize this. When you're published by a major publishing house, a lot of the times they will change your title. For example, Gone with the Wind was originally called Tomorrow's Another Day. Okay. So a lot of times editors change titles, and they had to change the title of this because it's not ESP lessons. It's a psychic development course where chapter by chapter, he takes you through these tools and techniques that he learned from these mediums and psychics and so on throughout the world. And he explains how they work and how to use them and how to benefit your life with them. So the book is long out of print. You can go to Amazon, and from the certified resellers there, you can pick it up at varying prices depending upon, you know, I've seen it for $9. I've seen it for $900, you know, if it's a signed first edition, whatever. You know. So that's a book that I would recommend because it's practical. It works. It's easy to utilize. It's easy to understand. There's tools and techniques in it that I learned from it that I still use today from long ago. And that's one book that I would say people can use in a way that's not out there so that they do something that doesn't produce any concrete results. They can use it and see some concrete results.
You know, John, you know, I've had some great success with the meditation process and getting to where you're talking about. And there's one that's easily available to everyone. It's Carl Jung's autobiography. It was published in the early 60s. That's the one that really kicked me off. There's not drills or anything to go about how to get there, but Carl Jung talks about what he did, and it just so happened to work for me. It's very simple. Everyone can do it if you just have to be disciplined. You have to keep trying. And I'm a firm believer. You have to be invited. It's not the right time for everyone just because you say you're interested. I mean, I was visited with a compulsion after some like a Kundalini type event to do these sort of things. So I would have never read this stuff. I would never have been interested. It's not my life. I was a federal agent, this big, type A personality activity, and then all of a sudden you get compulsions.
Yeah.
But do you think that to go certain paths? My experience was not angels, or mine was not aliens. It was, my God, it was. I think that it did something that I needed, that I would accept.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't know what your thoughts are about that, or that it presents itself differently to each of us, because I wouldn't have accepted gray aliens, or because it wasn't ufology, wasn't even part of my existence back then.
Yeah.
But it presented itself differently in a very sort of abstract way that I had to say, whoa, okay.
Yeah. I can address that. Yeah, I'd like to address that. And by the way, Jung and Freud had a falling out because of a paranormal experience. Jung and Freud were together, And Jung suddenly announced that there's going to be a popping, a loud cracking sound in this bookcase. And there was. And it freaked Freud out. And then a little bit later, and this is documented, a little bit later, Jung said, that's going to happen again over in the bookcase. That sound, that popping, that cracking is going to happen again, a very loud sound. And it did. And it caused a rift between Freud and Jung because Jung was like more toward the paranormal. You know, Jung wrote about, Kevin, as you know, archetypes. And that plays into a lot of interpretation and things, especially in tarot and other divinatory methods. But Jung wrote a lot about archetypes. And so it kind of caused a rift between him and Freud because Freud was like scared of what was going on there. So that was interesting. Note.
Jung experienced a lot of poltergeist type activity.
Right.
And this guy had a secret personal life. This personal experience was feeding his development of the psychology we basically know today, and trying to make sense of what he was experiencing. Yeah. And it was when you read his stuff, and I saw there's a great movie people might want to watch called A Dangerous Method, and it's about Freud and Jung's working together around the turn of the century, and it's got there's some major stars. This is a pretty recent movie. And this was my first thing after I had after I had a lot of trauma in my personal life. Yeah. The first compulsion I got after that was watch this movie. Because again, it's not a movie I'd ever watch.
Right.
And if people are interested in where Jung was coming from and how he really was sort of a psychonaut.
Yeah.
Right. He really explored this stuff, but he could not talk about it. And he couldn't keep his black book and his red book couldn't be made public till years after he died.
Right. Yeah.
And I would caution people. I've read the black books and the red book. Think deeply about whether or not you want to go there.
Yeah.
Because it is a powerful. It's a powerful, disturbing book that. Yeah. If it's time, it can put you into things that could scare the living crap out of you.
It scare me, man.
Definitely peels back the layers of reality. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, Kevin, when you're talking about the individual approach of spirit to you, and you're saying if gray aliens would have came to me, that wouldn't have impacted me in a positive way, but by what you experienced, it did impact you in a positive way and led you into a greater understanding. And I think that's what we have to realize. We have to realize that spirit does approach us. Now, I'm separating that from the physical thing because, again, I believe the UFOs are a physical thing, and I believe that's another phenomenon. But I think the realm of spirit approaches us in ways that we can understand and relate to and begin to enlighten us that way. Now, there are times that doesn't happen because I'll give you an example from a client I had when Sylvia Brown, and that's all I'll say about her, used to be on TV. One time this client called me and she said, you got to help me. You got to help me. She said, I was watching Sylvia Brown on TV and Sylvia Brown said, if you want a ghost in your house, just ask for one. The ghost will come. And she thought, that sounds pretty neat. So I did. And I got a ghost and it scared the crap out of me. And now I don't want it. I want to get rid of it. And I can't get rid of it. And I moved to get rid of it, and the ghost came with me. And the problem I'm having now is where I'm living. I'm new in the neighborhood, and the ghost seems to be mad at me because I tried to desert it. So it goes up and down the street, setting off all the car alarms sequentially. And the neighbors think it's me because, well, this never happened before. She's new in the neighborhood. She must be wacko, must be her. So they call the police on her. The police came out, they're standing on the porch talking to her, and about that time, all the car alarms go off sequentially. And the police look at each other and go, I don't know what the hell's happening here, but you're obviously not involved in it. We're out of here. So I said, okay, look, what you've done is you saw a dog on the side of the road, and you said, oh, dog, come home with me. The dog did. Now you decide you don't want the dog, and you try and leave, and the dog followed you. I said, you invited this spirit in. And this spirit said, okay, accommodated you. And now you're scared of the spirit, and it hadn't done anything to harm you. It hadn't done anything to scare you, but you're scared of it now. All of a sudden, you don't want it. And so you move to get rid of the manifestations that follows. And it's like, doggone it, why are you leaving me? Why are you walking away from me?
You know, there's some discussion, and I've talked to some very credible, I won't use their names because I was given confidence. I hate to say that, but
Right.
This poltergeist or this hitchhiker experience is fairly common amongst people who've been placed in touch, or their positions have put them into touch or brought them into areas that are of interest to this.
Right.
And I think part of that is why I got invited and how things could sort of happen to me because of what I did.
Right.
And I've talked to other people who've had jobs and assignments where they've come in contact and they've picked it up. And it can be very disturbing.
Yeah.
And it's not just, it's really, in my case, I had several run-ins, but it wasn't, I kind of got into a place where I was like, not really, I think it was trying to scare me, but I think that it definitely went after family members. And the things that were happening, it slapped my daughter said it slapped her in the face.
Wow.
My ex-wife said it scratched her down the back when she was outside sunbathing. So it acted out in certain ways. There's a lot of really creepy stuff that can happen, but this sounds crazy, right? This stuff sounds crazy.
Oh, sure. Well, that's like this lady was telling me, and I told her, I said, look, here's what you do. I said, you know, the spirit hasn't harmed you. The spirit hasn't hurt you. You invited it. Now do this. Just tell it, say, okay, look, I invited you. You came. I'm kind of initially scared of you, but I don't want to be. And obviously you're going to hang around. So let's make peace. You're welcome to be here, but don't scare the life out of me. Try and introduce yourself to me gradually. And then I said, when you leave the house, ask the spirit to guard the house and watch over the house for you so that when you come back, you're safe and it's protected. And I said, when you come in, talk to the spirit, tell them you're glad that it's there, and ask the spirit to watch over the house, keep you safe, awaken you to any problems, let you know if there's any difficulties. And I said, if that doesn't work, there's some other things that we can do, but I said, try that. And then call me back and let me know what happened. So she called me back. She let me know that she had made peace with the spirit and everything was fine. Now, another thing that happens is we misinterpret things. When I was shooting the pilot for the History Channel, in between filming this woman that was one of the locations, she came up and she goes, God, John, I got to talk to you. This ghost tried to kill me. And I said, oh, for God's sakes, no ghost tried to kill me. And so she said,
one's ever been killed by a ghost.
No. She said, this ghost tried to kill me. And I said, okay, what happened? She said, I'm in my kitchen and this plate comes flying out of the cupboard from across the room, flies across the room, hits the wall beside me and shatters and falls to the floor. The ghost tried to kill me. I said, first of all, if the ghost tried to kill you, you'd be dead. I said, secondly, the ghost wasn't trying to kill you and wasn't even trying to harm you. I said, psychically, I can tell you exactly what has happened. I said, if you take your small child dress shopping, and the child's a boy, and he's like, oh my God, my mother's looking at dresses. I'm out of my mind. What am I going to do? And he goes, hey, mom, doesn't get your attention, and you're involved in the dresses. And he looks around, and he goes, and he pushes over this chair, and it hits the floor with a bang, and you turn around, what in the world are you doing? Now he's got your attention. I said, the other side has been trying to get your attention for a long time because they want to communicate with you. They want to get through to you, and they want to help you.
Yeah, they get assertive, don't they? Yeah.
There's something that they want to accomplish with you. And,
exactly. And I said,
in my case, it told me straight up when all of it started. It gave me it was a complicated way of getting there, but through meditation in a scenario that was set up that I designed. It handed me a clock and it says, I was like, you gave me a clock. What for? And it says, it's not a clock, it's a puzzle. Right. And then everything that followed, I think, had its place. Yeah. It had its place as something I had to figure out what it was trying to teach me.
So
Exactly.
like a poltergeist, like scavenger hunt or something like that.
And that's what I told the lady. I said, "Look, I said you're not in danger." I said they're just trying to get your attention, and once you acknowledge them, then they can guide you and they can lead you and so on and so forth. But a lot of things that happen, we misinterpret as something that's possibly dangerous or negative or whatever, and 99% of the time it's not.
Right.
Yeah, well, it can be though. I mean, it's pretty clear that it can be if it wants to be.
Right. So, Kevin, I want to come back to your story a little bit in a few minutes, but real quick, I wanted to share the Corbell drop, and I wanted to get everybody's opinion on what they're seeing here. So, Luis, if you want to cue that up, I'm going to take my last shot. Thank you all very much for your amazing patronage. We appreciate it.
No worries. Okay, so here we've got the new Corbell footage. Apparently, a lot of people are not happy on Twitter.
I hear Twitter's like destroying Corbell right now.
It's on absolute fire right now. It is, people are flipping out. They're flipping out in our chat. They're not very impressed. But let's go over it. I mean, let's judge it as we consume it. Hold on one second. I'm just pulling up. Oh, I got Jeremy Corbell's site right here as well. Okay. What are you drinking there, Michael?
What I was drinking, it is Tomatine Highland Single Malt Scotch Whiskey.
There you go, baby.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty damn smooth. I was a little concerned when she brought me the gin originally.
That's what your face says every time you take a shot. Too.
Yeah, and that's what everybody says about 5 shots in.
Yeah.
It's getting smooth, baby. It's getting real smooth.
Okay, so this is Corbell's new. I'll probably do this just so everybody can get a good view at it, best view as they can. So here we go. This is a very short video. We'll go over the details as soon as we're done playing it.
Looks like a plane above.
It's real hard to tell. The camera movement's so jerky that.
Yeah,
somebody needs to do a motion stabilization on this, and it's still very pixelized. I mean, it's in the dark, you know.
Where is it? I mean, where was this taken?
Well, we're gonna go over the details right now.
Okay.
So, okay, seems like everyone's pretty underwhelmed as of right now.
No, actually, I've seen this.
Yeah.
I've seen this several times, and I just tweeted a picture. I think I sent you a picture, Michael, of when you talk about getting messages. I took a picture with my Nikon and with a several 100mm zoom, and it was those orbs, and that's what it let me see. There was a bunch of them that were just blobs of light. That's a handheld picture at night. You see it? I can't get it on screen, but if you're able to,
I'll pull that up here in a second. So, Lou, why don't you share the Corbell stuff, and I'll pull up Kevin's image, and we can do that after.
I had Corbell's thing pulled up here a second ago. I just lost it. Let me just share the screen again. But yeah, we're gonna go over the details.
We gotta give it up to NeuroStream.
Here we go.
Oh boy,
You're toast,
oh
Mike.
boy, you're done, dude.
You're done.
I'm already fucking.
You're getting super chatted under the table.
Okay, all right.
I want to see you do this.
All right, so here we've got he prepares.
Kevin has a ghost in there with him.
What, 4th, 5th, 6th shot? I don't know. I've lost count. Okay, so here's the background on the footage. So UFO deck footage from the USS Omaha. As the world knows, in 2019, U.S. Navy warships were swarmed by UFOs. Over the past months, I've provided a large amount of cumulative and corroborative visual data to support this fact. What I'm providing today is video footage captured from the deck of the USS Omaha by the onboard Viper team, quote, visual intelligence personnel on July 15th, 2019. In a restricted warning area off of San Diego. What are we looking at? The footage represents an additional type of visual data collection, cooperative visual evidence depicting a UFO event series that reached a crescendo with at least one of the unknown targets entering the water. No wreckage was found. None of the unknown craft were recovered, despite a tasked search by at least one of our U.S. Navy submarines. What is the significance of this military captured UFO footage? I will let you determine. This is hilarious. I will let you determine the significance of this footage for yourself. Yet, I will highlight a few key aspects of this military encounter for your consideration. The footage illustrates that the UFOs surrounding our warship had lights, as previously reported, that they were self-luminous and appeared to be unconcerned by the presence of our tactical Navy warships. These UFOs were not inconspicuous. They were brazen, boldly buzzing our warships, too many involved.
I thought he was a documentary filmmaker, not a writer. This is fascinating.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay. It stands to reason that the UFOs, their operators, wanted to be seen and recorded. What that suggests, I can only speculate. However, these objects have been conclusively determined by our Department of Defense to not be ours.
Hello.
These craft are not owned or operated by the United States or our allied entities. So the question lingers, who is operating these high-performance vehicles? What is their intent? To date, my mentor in journalism, George Knapp, and I have released the following: night vision video, FLIR thermal video, still images, government intelligence briefing documents, as well as video radar data. All of this collective evidence corresponds to the same facts and events. This type of magnitude of cross-platform information verification is both unique and rare in this pursuit of the UFO mystery. This video footage I'm releasing today is yet another distinct type of visual data related to these Pentagon-confirmed events, making this military event series one of the best censored data documented UFO cases of all time.
I definitely am more. I'm more whelmed after hearing that than I was just watching the video.
Yeah. And last sentence here. Please take a moment to consider all of the moving parts to this case, because there certainly will be more coming your way about it. I personally have collected witness testimony, as well as even more visual documentation. And as always, after I complete the vetting process, I will release everything once it meets my standards of validation. He's got a quote down here that says, the most impressive evidence we witnessed was their endurance. The event lasted over an hour with all contacts just disappearing. We were never able to discern where they departed to. Crewman USS Omaha.
Wow.
He's got the approximate location with the coordinates. He's got the time of the event, which is July 15th, between the hours of 9 and 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The details, again, 14 targets, a minimum of 6 feet in diameter, solid mass, varying speeds, 40 to 138 knots. We've gone over, these look pretty much the same as the previous post. Says here, another quote, in the end, I'm 50-50 that this is man-made tech from somewhere else. Either way, it's world-changing because of the incredible energy capacity of the craft. That is from a crewman also on the USS Omaha. So he's 50-50 on whether or not it's from somewhere else. What's presented here is a genuine UFO UAP footage evidence with impressive provenance. This is video captured by our U.S. military Viper team during a significant UAP encounter incursions by seemingly advanced transmedium travel vehicles of unknown origin. Interacting and observing our Navy's warships and fleet deployments in restricted airspace, the evidence here must be differentiated from other UAP documentation due to the context of capture alone, as well as the magnitude of cooperative visual footage and sensor data. Collectively, this data drop represents a small section within a large mosaic of UAP awareness by our Department of Defense. It is my hope that these materials will be representative of a unique moment in modern history, a possible turning point towards the rational and transparent approach of investigating and exploring the mystery of UFO phenomenon. So here's an opportunity for anyone and everyone to go ahead and seek out the information for yourselves. We do not know what, if anything, the Navy or Pentagon might be willing to say about the USS Omaha incident and related encounters, but we are confident the incident is a legitimate mystery and look forward to whatever information might be forthcoming. Weaponize your curiosity. Jeremy Kenyon Locklear Corbell. All right, let's break it down. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Should we watch it again?
He has
Should
a
we
really lovely signature.
He really does. He really does. We can watch it again.
Let's watch it
again. So here we go. I'll just rewind it real quick.
I have a couple of points I think I picked out this time through.
Yeah, what do you got?
Well,
you want to just keep playing it and kill the audio, Lou?
Yeah, I can do that.
Either way.
Well, but there's something here I want you to hear.
Okay.
Hold on, just.
I'll be
Do you
quiet.
hear those clicks?
That's him zooming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is he zooming in on?
Yeah. What sort of?
Like, what kind of I mean,
There are
camera.
scopes. I wonder if this was
Okay.
filmed with the same camera that was that filmed the night vision, and he flipped modes and was going click 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 click, because a lot of night vision scopes and FLIR devices have like an analog click to go forward and back.
So are these the same? Are these the same craft that
And
were?
some point and shoots too.
Were these the same craft?
This is the same
from
event.
So this is the same event that the triangles came out of
Pyramids,
with
yeah.
the bouquet, right?
This is the pyramids. This is the transmedium object that went into the ocean. This is now these new lights. I don't know if one was filmed in FLIR, one was filmed in a regular camera system.
I feel like if you put all this together and like clearly demonstrate what we're seeing from multiple angles, multiple types of camera systems, multiple types of radar, if we were able to see this all together, it might give a better impression of what's actually going on here. Because now, after you read that, I was actually a little more open to the interpretation of this being more than just some drones in the sky.
Well, it seems like Jeremy's trying to lay out a big picture here.
Yeah.
And he's doing it drop by drop by drop. I think by itself, if you didn't have the description and the details that Corbell provided with the video, by itself, it's not very impressive
At all.
At all. Again, it doesn't show any of these movements that we keep hearing about. There's no right angle turns. There's no speeding off. There's none of that. There's no, it would have been cool if we had seen one of those lights go slamming into the water. There's none of that stuff with it. And the part that... I remember the last time Jeremy dropped the pyramids, and I looked at it and I said, Mick West is going to have a field day with this.
Mick West is going to have a field day with this.
Mick West is going to have a field day with this. This is going to be a win for him. And it sucks because he's not looking at the totality of everything. And I think that's what's unfair. If you're mad at Corbell, I wouldn't be. Again, there's more information to paint a bigger picture here. We just have to give him the opportunity to do it. I know it's frustrating the way it's coming out, the way it's being leaked. It's drips and drops, and the drips and drops by themselves add to nothing. But when you start collecting them in a pan or a cup, they start filling up the cup. So we've got to just be patient. Again, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So we have to cut Jeremy Corbell some slack. Not everything, I don't think, and maybe he'll agree with this, maybe he won't, but I don't think every single thing he's putting out is a genuine UAP, but I think some of them are. And if some of them are, then that's impressive, man. We just have to be patient and wait for more data and try to determine, which one of that is which part of that is true.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we're dealing with something that we have no control over.
Right.
It's like the lion, trying to control us, tagging it in the wilderness. It's not going to happen. So, I mean, what's really become valid is this is a typical, you have to use intelligence sort of analyst approaches. You look for patterns in data, you look for repeating types of activity, and that's what Department of Defense is doing. And it's perfectly valid. I mean, we go to war over things like this.
Yeah,
so Mick West has basically become a flat earther, in my opinion. The guy's a flat earther. Just ignore him. Just ignore him.
Exactly.
It's not worth. It's not worth wasting time on.
So, but we have a big show with him on Friday. Should we cancel it? What are you saying?
No, please don't ignore him. Please don't ignore him because we're gonna have him on the show.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that you're not. It doesn't matter what you do. He's not going to change your mind, and he's not going to accept the information. He's not going to. He doesn't have the mental flexibility to be able to take the context into consideration. All he does is just look at that moment and instance in time and come up with things that it could be at that specific slice of time. I mean, it could be an infinite amount of things, right? I mean, but it's just so.
Well, the thing is,
talk to him, but you have to understand that where that guy's coming from. I don't care what you say.
We did have him on the show last week, and last week he admitted to us that he hasn't debunked the David Fravor Alex Dietrich sighting. He hasn't debunked it. He's got theories for it, but he would never tell you that those theories are what are actual fact. And I think that's where it's getting lost a little bit. What were you gonna say, Kevin?
Which is fine, but he throws shade at everybody who believes that it's actually somebody caught a UAP, right?
Absolutely.
So it's okay for him to have a theory. And we all aren't. We're not. Well, yeah, right. So I don't know about you, but I just consider that a theory.
That's a really interesting point, Kevin, because basically what you're saying is Mick West, when he debunks things, he's debunking it at this one little slice of time and space, and then he's giving you his theory as to what it is, but he's devaluing other people having different theories because he believes his is more probable statistically.
Right.
At that instant in time, without context, yada, yada, yada. That's what the guy does. Right?
Yeah.
And so he's got a following for it.
Right.
Yep.
Well, it's
a flat Earth following.
Exactly. Good for you, Kevin. I agree 100%.
I think if he continue, look, he's a cheeky fellow.
He is a cheeky fellow.
He does like.
I actually like it. I actually would like hanging out with Mick West and like having a couple beers with him. Like I actually would enjoy that very much. But yeah.
I don't know who brought up flat Earth, but I want to know where the intersection of like flat earthers who believe in aliens.
Oh,
like there's got to be a graph.
Well, and QAnon, and there's a graph. There's got to be a graph for aliens, flat Earth, and QAnon, and where the divergence is, where that all connects.
God, I love it.
Well, we have the Department of Defense vouching for our position, so he can.
There you go.
It's
that's
he's latched on to the conspiracy group,
right?
now,
but here's the thing. But then the rebuttal for me on that would be, well, why the hell should we trust the Department of Defense? You know, like they've lied to us so many times, and they're not giving us the point. His point, I feel, always wins out, not because he's right, but because the Department of Defense hasn't given us anything close to a smoking gun. Anything. Like we're dying for the smoking gun. And if you gave Mick West, and he said this on the show, if you gave him one object filmed from two different planes, how's he going to debunk that then? You know,
he can't.
He's exactly. And that's what he said. And we need better evidence. And Mick West is, in a weird way, sort of he's almost
a catalyst pushing this conversation forward, so we push harder for the people who want more data and want to get to the facts, to push them. And now we have scientists who actually want to study this thing. We've got Avi Loeb coming on this show tomorrow live at 3 p.m. EST to discuss this very thing, because he wants to review the UAP and he wants to lead. He wants to gather that data.
This is the problem when you talk about the sensor systems. Anyway, I can't go into what I used to do specifically.
You were real close. You were real close to giving something away from the
I'm going to
DOE.
tell you, there is they could, if they wanted to declassify data and give this guy access. I actually asked him one time. I said, "Okay, you don't get access, but you get to pick the person that you trust to get access to the classified data. Would you trust what he said?" His answer was no. He's got to see it himself. Yeah. Well, I mean, but okay, how do we know anything in this world?
Right.
We build and rely upon each other. I don't have anybody. You try and explain how a television system works. Right. A television set is the way you do that. The transducer and the physics involved. That's complicated as crap. But I don't know how it works. So how can I trust it's actually sending a picture that was taken on the other side? I can't verify. It's just silly, isn't it? When you think about that, and that's what the guy's doing.
And I think, look,
he's getting a lot of attention for it.
You have to go back to Stanton Friedman. And Stanton Friedman always talked about, he said, if people say there's no evidence for UFOs, and I'm paraphrasing him now, Stanton Friedman said there's an embarrassment of riches of evidence for UFOs, physical evidence for UFOs. And he said it's out there for anybody that will take the time to do even the most casual research and find. And I think that's true. And I think that, you know, governments around the world have received their UFO files. And there's been people that have produced physical evidence throughout. And I think that what's happened is that it's been ignored or covered up by the government. But there's physical evidence there for anybody that wants to find it. And Stanton Friedman said that over and over and over again. And I saw him lecture in person, and it was awesome. And he brought that fact out many, many times. The physical evidence is there.
Well, and so there's a lot of people that even if they do witness something in person firsthand, the first thing they're going to do is run to the doctor and say, is something wrong with my mental health, or did I go losing my mind? And they immediately question it all anyways and try to rationalize it. They would rather have a mental illness than to admit, I acknowledge that thing was actually there. And so when you try to, there's some people that you're just never going to crack through on this kind of a topic. Do you care if we spin back to the footage a little bit? Because I think if you overlaid like the night vision pyramid footage of these things, what you see is two objects kind of staggered almost one above the other, just like in the night vision footage. And then a pyramid kind of slowly moved through the fog above them from left to right. In this one, you see two objects. You can't get a sense of the pyramid shape, but then we see something slowly move from right to left. And so I wonder if it's taken from another ship in the strike group from the opposite angle, from across the way from the other side, or is this filmed later? Or if you synced up the timing of this, is this the exact same moment where you have two things and one thing flying over, and this one it's flying right to left?
It's interesting because to me it looks like you remember when we saw the triangle video, and there was the one that actually was blinking in similar to a plane. One of the things I noticed in this one was there was a similar blinking early on in the one that was higher up. So I do wonder if this is the exact same angle and the exact same vision, and you have one that's actually is a plane, but you have other UAPs in underneath it.
Right.
I don't know. It's curious.
That's what it looks like to me. Yeah.
I mean,
you see the same thing?
Yes.
Well, here's my thing: is it just feels like. This is a Viper team, right? We're told this Viper team is like their specific job is to come out to a flight deck or somewhere on a ship if something's going on, and they're supposed to film it to corroborate whatever data they have, you know, coming from the ship as well. Mm-hmm. Why are they using these camera systems that are absolute garbage?
Well, I mean, remember,
this is 2016. This is not 2002.
Lou, we're talking about using cell phone cameras on top of standardized equipment. We're recording through multiple devices simultaneously.
I don't think that's what's happening in all of
here.
These.
It definitely is in the triangle videos. It's definitely a camera cell phone recording through.
Because I've seen Corbell write that these are not being taken with cell phone cameras.
Yeah. Michael, I don't know if you can get that picture up, but I can give you a great example of this.
Sure.
This phenomenon shows you what it wants you to see.
Yeah.
You don't get to say what you get to capture. If you can get that picture up, all I saw, this is one of a number of orbs exactly similar to this.
Where's the picture that
I got it. I got it.
okay,
right here.
Okay, sorry.
I got it right here. All right.
While you're pulling that up, I recently watched an interview with Jeremy Corbell, a really
There
good
you
one.
go. That's it.
And he was talking about how much flack he was getting because of the reflections on the pyramids, on the night vision, the blinking of the lights. So I wonder if he chose to release this footage next to prove the self-luminous aspect, and that was the only reason.
So what is this? Walk us through this, Kevin.
So it was one of these instances where you talk about the cognitive effect. I get a deal. Hey, look, you need to go outside. And my wife and I have seen a number of UFO sightings over the past 5 or 6 years. I mean, they're fairly routine. I don't know what it is about where I am, except for maybe Cyber Command, NSA. It's just a lot of government intel activities.
All of the three-letter agencies that everybody's terrified about.
All the alphabet.
But what you saw was those blinking blobs of light, rotating in colors, moving and bouncing around the sky, combining, uncombining, splitting, and everything. And I was taking pictures with my Nikon, and in the raw image, it shows what Nikon it is, what f-stop it was at. And for whatever reason, out of a half dozen pictures I took of it, they were all just blurry pictures that you'd expect handheld zoom camera at night for an object that's a half a mile to a mile away. I get this picture. I never saw this. My wife never saw this. It's when I look at it later and I'm looking at the picture, I'm like, holy crap, look at that thing. It's like that one. I've seen this a bunch of times. I've taken hundreds of pictures of them, and this one time I get this picture. Yep. When what you're seeing is garbage, and it's a sphere, and it's got a rectangle to it, and you can see there's structure to the light that comes out of it in a arrayed sort of fashion, but I didn't see that. You didn't see anything. You saw a blob blinking light amongst a group of them, and that's all I saw. So how the heck does this happen? I mean, my opinion is you're only going to capture the quality that it's going to let you capture, and that's one of the tricky aspects.
I think that's true, and I think that also, it's looked like with EVP. With EVP, we do a recording, and we do not hear any voice with our ears. And we play it back and we hear a spirit voice. And I've captured several of these. Everybody on the planet practically has captured EVP. And there is a frequency there that we cannot get. The other night I talked to a guy who's a professional musician, and he does all his own board work, his own equalizers and everything, and works with all his files with music. And he said, I know how to do everything on the planet with music. And he said, I get these EVP files in here and I work on them and I search through them. And he said, I cannot find the frequency that these EVP voices are on.
Sorry. Can you explain exactly what EVP is?
Electronic voice phenomena, which is recording spirit voices.
Okay.
And you take a digital recorder or any recorder, you can still use reel to reel, or you can use a recorder on your phone, your recorder app on your phone. And you press play and you get quiet and you invite a spirit to talk, and voices appear that you do not physically hear with your ears. But when you play the recording back, you hear these clear voices. I've got
almost like in the static in between, it bleeds through and you get
these. But sometimes there are
clear,
what they call Class A voices, and I've received some of those that are like so clear, you don't have to have earphones, you don't have to have software to analyze them. You can just hear them straight out of the recorder,
and they'll answer you, right? They'll even talk back. They'll answer your questions.
Sometimes you can have two-way conversations, exactly.
Yeah.
But they cannot find the frequency that these voices are on, and so I suspect, Kevin, that when you're taking these photographs, you pick up things that, just like ghost photographs, you take a picture, you don't see a ghost with your eyes, but when you upload the digital file, then you see a ghost, and I've had that experience. And so I suspect that what you captured there is something that, like you say, you didn't see it with your physical eyes, but the camera got it. And we're trying to figure out and work that out. Why does that come through on the camera and not to our eyes? Why does it come through to the digital recorder and not to our ears? There's some frequency, some wave, some spectrum there that these things are utilizing that we don't see or hear, but it's obviously there and it's obviously real.
Yeah, and I understand that similar images have been captured in the OSAP program. So the theory is that this is a pressure, I've heard talk about from some government folks that this is like an interdimensional pressure of one dimension against another. Interesting.
Yeah.
Real quick, somebody had said in the chat here, Harvinder Sunila, Lou, I'm a professional photographer. Unless it's daylight, taking images in the dark is very difficult. It doesn't surprise me. The images in the dark are so poor. I'd agree with you.
I'm a professional photographer also,
this isn't taken by a civilian. This is taken with the highest tech available to the U.S. military. And the thing that worries me, the reason why I don't think it's a cell phone, Michael, is because you can hear the clicks when he zooms in.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's not a cell phone noise. That's a camera noise.
Could be a point and shoot.
What's that?
It could be a point and shoot, because I'm a professional photographer also. Right. And if you're using a 35 millimeter with a zoom lens, that doesn't make any noise when you zoom. You rotate it and it doesn't make any noise at all.
Right, but that's my point. Why are they using a point and shoot?
You're doing this to get the telephoto going. Click, 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 click. That does happen.
Well, my guess would be what we're looking at is somebody using a cell phone to capture images from a monitor off of an official, installed system in the warship. Right. So that way you can, it's you have to kind of bend around the rules a little bit to be able to get it out into the clear. And that would be one way to do it.
Right.
That's
right
off the
way
system.
To do it, right? Because you can't release anything with sensor data on it. So you'd have to be recording on something else. And that would explain the click, 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 because you could be recording with your phone and getting the audio of that device going click, 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 even though you're able to it through a secondary device.
Right. And you're able to not show the sensor data that might go around the image that you're seeing, right?
Exactly.
They would indicate a classified system.
So, and real quick, this is my last shot. I'm all caught up. I'm 100% even for you guys.
Let's go.
Corbell said that the footage was unclassified, by the way. Which is all of his footage is unclassified. They're all unclassified. None of his stuff is classified. If it was classified, he'd be arrested. But I do know, and I don't know if we're talking about the same interview, Carl, but he had an interview with Duncan Trussell where he talked about how his process of how he releases this footage and how he gets permission and why the Department of Defense isn't knocking on his door to arrest him. And they're knocking on his door because they want to know, how did you get this? How are you getting this sensitive data? And this is not the Department of Defense going, tell us how you got it. This is the Department of Defense going, hey, can you share with us how you're getting this? Because we want to also convince people to share it with us. He's teaching the Department of Defense how to get this footage, parts of the Department of Defense, essentially.
Yeah.
Is the way I understood it. But the checks, again, the double checks, the triple checks, the quadruple checks that he does with every single piece of information he drops, he does do that. And if the Department of Defense is saying, yep, that footage came from the USS Omaha. It was taken either through one of our data collecting systems or it's a cell phone capture of that data collection system that doesn't show any of the sensitive stuff. It's not classified. It was never put into a classified briefing. So, I mean, this is why I think people are upset because... And this is why I think Mick West is good for this, because they know. I think if this was 7, 8, 10 years ago, people would have been flabbergasted with this. They would have been like, oh my God, can you believe this? Look at these craft. This is verified by the Department of Defense. Today, they look at something like this and they go, this is not good enough. This is upsetting me. I'm getting upset. I think we're in a new era where not everything that's put on the table, people are just going to readily accept.
No.
And I think that's because of folks like us, folks like Mick. We demand more. We want better. We want more data. But you got to give it to Corbell. This is more data. Either way you slice it, we just got more data today. So more data is more data is more data, and more data is a good thing. So
let me put on
try and tear it apart as best we can.
Let me put on this shirt and analyze it for you.
Put
this on and analyze it for you.
There you go.
That'll up your
Am I
IQ.
muted?
Yeah.
No, you're not muted.
No,
I can hear you.
Oh no! Wait,
Okay.
no. I'm sorry. I never mind. That was
okay.
on me.
All right. So, I was an IG special agent for almost 30 years. And this is, in comparison, the administrations have been very strict on going after leakers, right? I mean, they were chasing the people down for Trump. Under the Obama administration, you had very aggressive prosecution of leakers. This case is easy to make if you want to prosecute somebody for leaking information. Of course, for official use only, which this could end up being, it's unclassified. It's still a crime. It's still a federal crime to leak it. So I think it speaks volumes to the fact that they're allowing this to happen. And I think that, or else they would snatch it back, or Jeremy wouldn't be doing this.
Right.
And
I
the
agree.
people on the command on that ship, in CIC or wherever it is, wouldn't allow this to happen. So I think we're
saying in essence that this is kind of an ersatz disclosure.
Yeah, there's. It seems to me like we're on a script of some sort.
Yeah.
And
That makes sense.
that's just. I'm not involved in it, so I can analyze this all I want.
It's your
You're
government.
retired.
It's your government
completely
gut
retired.
feeling.
I may not get that consulting job that, but I don't. I've had.
You don't give a fuck?
I don't give a fuck.
Well, I mean, look, is that a gun propped up against your bed there? What is going on?
That is definitely a gun.
That is definitely a weapon.
I'm putting my making my office and rearranging this stuff. So there's a lot
What
of
is that?
stuff.
What is that? What kind of gun is that against your wall back
No,
there?
I'm not gonna. It's an M4, but I'm not gonna pull it out. You don't
No,
want to
no,
see it. Your viewers
What I was-
don't want to see it.
What I was gonna say is I'm no gun expert, but that doesn't seem like a good place to prop up a weapon.
No, dude. That's hey.
Temporarily, I was. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think Childress intentionally put that up for his background for the
There
video.
you go. There you go.
I wouldn't do that, would I?
Hey, I got my 9mm right here, Kevin.
just a warning,
No comment.
a warning to
I've
anyone
always
thinking
got my
about it.
9mm on me.
All right.
All right. Well,
Oh, is that on me?
that's the first time everybody shut up at one time during this entire conversation. We are approaching our second hour. We are officially wrapping up. I am 5 shots deep, 4 shots deep.
Six, I
Lou,
think.
will you do the work? I don't know what I can't.
You've officially hit the drunk one. All right. Well, you guys, I want to say thank you to everyone who stopped by the show. John Russell, of course. We'd love to have you back. I think the conversation with you was amazing. But we appreciate you sticking around for the second hour. And
Listen, I've loved it. I've enjoyed it. I love all you guys. It's been a great time. We've got a lot more to talk about. I'll be happy to come back anytime.
Can you tell people where they can find you?
Yes. Go to johnrussell.net. That's 2 S's and 2 L's in Russell, johnrussell.net. And there's full information there on my psychic readings and so on and so forth. There's also links to both of my books, and those are available at all major booksellers online. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, on and on and on. And,
maybe we could do a psychic reading for the next show.
you know what?
That would be fun.
I would let you
Listen,
do one on
listen,
me. You could do one on me
listen,
live if you
before-
wanted.
Before I started doing podcasts again in 2020,
Yeah.
For 14 years, I was a featured guest on major radio shows across the U.S. and weekly and or monthly for 9 years in a row. I did live phone-in readings on those shows, and we got tons of feedback about, boy, how accurate I was and everything else, and how helpful I was to people. So I did that on major shows in Texas, New York, big show in Missouri, and all that. So yeah, we could do some call-in shows. Absolutely.
That would be cool. All right, Mr. John Russell, we will see you soon, sir. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
And then, of course, we've got fan favorite and favorite of our hearts, Mr. Carl Vibe.
Oh, thank you.
He's got a YouTube channel where he does family videos, and I love you watching your channel because I'm a huge RC nerd. I vicariously play with remote control cars through channels like yours because I cannot pull the trigger on a $400 remote control car. So I'd rather.
These are $1,000.
Oh yeah. You have like legit, and he wrecks them. He drives them across pools, for God's sake. So Carl, real quick before you go, if you can, remind everyone where they can find your channel and your new channel, Carl Vibe, right?
Yeah, I would love it if everybody goes and checks out my new channel on Carl Vibe, and I would love all of these guys that are on the panel and everybody on this show to come over one at a time and guest appear with me. I think it would be really fun to get mystical with it and talk about the weird stuff. And yeah, I would love that. Carl Vibe on Twitter, Instagram, all over the place. So
well, and Carl, we were planning on doing you and I hopping on a call, but this weekend. But instead, you had something interesting going on. What are you doing this weekend?
Well, I'm going to go up near Skinwalker Ranch around that area and check out some of that. I have cousins up there. I'm going to go film a video for my other channel and see if I can. I'm trying to message some of my friends there, Dragon and some of those guys, see if I can hang out with them and buy them a beer and see if I can sneak around there.
Very sneaky way to protect it. Yeah. That's my bad. Obviously, that's my fault.
I'm trying to do it secretively. I don't want to sneak on the property. I don't want Dragon and Caleb shooting at me or anything in the dark. Travis running at me or anything. But I would love to hang
drunkenly running at you.
Oh,
yeah, we'll see how it works out.
He'll be calling you a cube. He'll be like, "Look at that cube there! Look at that cube! I just saw a portal.
A Sasquatch.
a big hairy werewolf. It looked like it had tattoos. Disappeared into a portal." Again. Damn, season 2 is fire. Thank you so much to Silly Humans. Thank you, Carl Vibe. We'll see you soon, my friend.
Love you guys.
Oh, love you, brother.
$20 donation from Silly Humans. Thank you so much. He said another great one, you guys. Thank you. We appreciate the $20 donation.
Thank you, Silly Humans.
An epic.
Thank you for not making me take it a shot, Silly Humans. That was very nice of you.
I mean, it would have cost him another $30. So Mr. Kevin Childress, our IG governmental expert. I can't wait to some more information drops about this IG investigation. We'd love to have you come back and talk about that some more because your insight on that stuff is amazing.
And we also have him back on UCR as well for to talk about his entire experience. We haven't done that yet.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Ooh. Trying to get some contracting.
I don't know what my ex would think about that.
I don't think Kevin's trying to get any contracting work. That's what I've discovered.
No, I'm not.
All right, Kevin. Well, we appreciate the love you always share on our shows, man. We always appreciate and love seeing you in the chat. We always love talking to you as well. So until next time, friend.
All right.
Bye, Kevin.
Whew.
Whew.
Right.
I'm drunk, you guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was quiet. Everybody had a lot to say.
Everybody had a lot to say about how quiet you were.
Yeah. Well, Kristen's quiet.
But that's the thing that people don't understand. Like, she's not. Like, when she's not on camera, she is not quiet.
Respectfully quiet.
She's respectfully quiet, I think, because we have so many people on the show, and she doesn't want to, shit on their beliefs.
Well, no, not just that, but when everybody has things to say.
Right. You don't want to be
around all the time.
Right. You don't want to take up all the time. I get it. But at the same time, like, people adore you and they want to hear what you have to say. So,
Yeah. Don't be afraid to jump over these silly men. I mean, we've always got opinions. Trust us.
I was wondering if I should run and water down the scotch, but
she did not water down the scotch, by the way.
Yeah, well, I could see that.
She did ask me. She's like, "Do you wanna?" She's like, "Do you wanna?"
Water?
She's holding it up. She's like, "Do you wanna?" Huh? I'm like, I can't. Not for $100.
Singularity Labs.
I can't do that for the people. I can't do that to the people. To the people.
Real quick, I just wanted to comment on one thing. A lot of people are saying that this TMZ piece is an entry piece for people. An entry piece. Essentially, it's a good step into the door. I think, look, TMZ is watched by a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a different audience, right?
It's a different audience, completely different audience, but it's a big audience. So, this is, again, more data for more people to hopefully find shows like ours. Maybe they get more curious and they start looking for really good data. And hopefully that's where they'll find shows like this and shows like the Unidentified Celebrity Review so they can scratch that curiosity itch.
Yeah, my sister just texted me. She goes, "Were people paying you for taking shots? I missed the beginning of the show."
Well, see, now here's the problem, right? Is this going to be an every show thing?
It can't be.
There's
no
be.
way. There's no way. Wait, I can't take shots every show, you guys. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah,
I gotta
be. You gotta set the standard.
This was the
Opening,
inaugural show, the inaugural Super Chat show.
Right.
I'm willing to do whatever, if you want to see my areola, like I'll show you. But there's only this show. It's only the first show.
Yeah.
This is not OnlyFans.
Not yet, anyway. Not yet. We're well on our way.
I know, but it depends.
We've all got feet.
We've all got like a five.
We've all got a price too.
Yeah, we do. Like $500. Like if somebody was like $500, Madeline takes a shot. I'd be like, wow, I do have that. I do have a price.
Everybody's got a price. Everybody's got a price. All right, Michael. Well, before we leave, let's tell everybody what's coming on the Singularity Lab tomorrow.
Tomorrow
we're gonna have 2 shows tomorrow, basically.
2 shows tomorrow. So at 3 p.m. Eastern time, I'll be interviewing Avi Loeb, and you guys are welcome to come check it out live. It's gonna be a live session. We're gonna be specifically talking about this UAP report, his take on it, and why he believes that science and academia aren't taking this as seriously as they should be. And so we're going to be breaking down the report with Avi Loeb here tomorrow live at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm doing pretty good for having like 5 shots deep, I got to tell you.
It was 4.
Was it 4? Oh, see, I'm exaggerating.
No, I don't know. I can't remember, but
I don't remember either.
It was a lot. It was enough I'd be saucy by now.
Also
tomorrow,
Chad says post OnlyFans link for the after show, the after areola show.
Jesus. Also tomorrow at 4 p.m. Are you going to be able to make my show on time?
Yes. No, I'll be. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I mean, we're pushing it right back to back. All right, just don't take shots on tomorrow's show because we're already running 8 minutes on this one. So also tomorrow, we are going to have who we have. Oh, that's right, Sean Raish, citizen witness. We're going to be talking about one of his favorite historical cases, and then second hour we're going to be breaking down the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch with Carl Vibe, who you saw today, and also UFO Jane. She always loves helping us break it down. So it should be a fun episode tomorrow, and also on Friday we've got our debate with Mick West and Kent By. So don't miss that. And yeah,
what's Thursday? We also have new branding coming for the Singularity Lab as well.
Which is cool.
Our incredible executive producer has been all over it, and it's going to be exciting. We got new stuff to roll out, and we've got some amazing merch coming your way from UCR, which is going to be awesome. And
soon we're close. We're so close.
Very close.
And yeah, I guess that's it.
I think that's it. We love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us in the chat. Thank you so much for donating in the super chat and for getting me drunk tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good times.